Hello and welcome back to the Empty Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Lanty. My co-host right here is Kyle Heath. This is the show where we cover gaming industry related news of the last week. So last week we basically covered Summer Games Fest. This week we're going to be dropping into basically like what the F is Xbox. We're also going to talk a little bit about Nintendo Switch 2. There is a bit of controversy of a little bit of a cartridge might take your Nintendo Switch 2 off forever. You know, Nintendo doing Nintendo things, taking you offline for forever, for a multitude of reasons. Then we're going to talk about MindsEye, its launch, it turning a bit into a meme. We're going to get into that, and also Marathon. Bungie is now it's going to address the negative fan feedback that they've had to deal with. But before we get into it, Kyle, how you been, dude? What have you been up to? And I don't know. I haven't really chatted with you in a while, man. How you doing?
Yeah, there's a lot going on in everyone's life, Mike. So it's hard to keep up right now.
You doing good though?
Yeah,
overall positive.
Man. Overall positive, feeling
Very
good.
Nice.
Game wise, played a little Mass Effect 1, a little bit, just a little bit, not a whole lot this week. You guys able to get a little more time in, and I was trying to think outside of that. I don't know if I played much else this week, honestly. I know this weekend.
I feel that.
This weekend, I really wanted to get more time into Mass Effect, especially on Sunday. Mm-hmm. But I just had some stuff at work I had to catch up on. I was just like, I could do it now, and then I'm not going to be as slaughtered on Monday. So I decided to just do it then. But in hindsight, I'm kind of glad I did because I ended up finding a couple of things that were wrong with my work that I did the week prior. That I was like, well, I'm actually glad I'm catching this today because I didn't want to have to scramble the next day to do it. So. As much as it's unfortunate to work on the weekends sometimes, sometimes it just it has to be done. You really sit there on Saturday and you're like, can I spare a few hours tomorrow and just make it easier for myself?
I feel that so much, man.
So it was just one of those weekends. So unfortunately, that ate more of my Sunday than I originally expected. But outside of that, man, I don't know, dude. Can't complain, Can't complain. Trying to get some games in where I can. But yeah, definitely want to get more gaming in this week. So that's the hope. I didn't get a chance to get the Split Fiction though, which is kind of unfortunate.
You still haven't played it then.
I played. I think we played some last week, but my buddy and I just didn't get around to it this week. And it's one of those things. If we don't get it on Monday or Tuesday, then it's it's gonna be next week. There's no other time that works for us.
That's a good point. That's brutal.
Yeah. It's it's one of those things you got to plan it out, but sometimes if it falls through, man, it's just all right, well,
what do you do?
All you can do is wait. So it's kind of the situation, but
I feel that, man. It's such a shame. It's such a shame. I've been dealing kind of with the same thing. My work has basically been encompassing my life right now. It's tough, but like you said, just getting work done on the weekends, even though it's I know you and I basically work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 kind of deal, but doing that weekend little grind session can really save you on a Monday.
Yeah.
Save me for sure. So it was a bit of a payoff. I also had a buddy come into town, which is really nice. He's super into games. So we were talking games pretty much all weekend. It was similar to how you and I do the pod where we just start yapping about different games. Him and I do the same thing. Got to go see some hockey in person. Calder Cup finals in Charlotte. Ooh. Yeah, Checkers. They made it. That was really fun. Father's Day, shout out to the fathers, by the way. Anybody that's listening that's a father, happy Father's Day. We got to have some steaks. I got to grill that out for my dad. I did pretty good. I was pretty stoked because the truth of the matter is I'm used to apartment grills, and those are shoddy at best. Now they have the natural gas connection. That's nice. But people don't take care of them well, and it took a while for me to get used to. So when I grilled at their place, they have a really good grill. Oh. So I accidentally used the same meta that I used at the apartment for their grill, and it just overcooked the steaks the first time I did it. And then I came over for Mother's Day. Mom loves the burgers, so I cooked the burgers. The burgers were a hit, and then I did the steaks, and I absolutely crushed the steaks. So I was very, very excited about that. Outside of that, man, I've been more of consuming the gaming content in forms of articles, videos, podcasts. I my buddy coming into town, he was showing a podcast to me. We were just hanging out in the living room, laying low, just catching up old times. This is somebody I've known for literally 15, 17 years now. A long time.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. So we were just catching up, just being nerds, having a good time, and it was very nice. We got to grind some Mario Party, which was nice. So it's like we had 5 or 6 people in the house who were doing rotations,
That's sick.
and it was sweaty. Mario Party, what's it called? Superstars or whatever. It was very, very fun on the Nintendo Switch.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I was tempted to pull out the N64. Everybody's like, "Oh, well, why don't we play like the other Mario parties?" I'm like, "Yo, I got Mario Party the first one. If you guys are interested,
I got the OG. I'm just saying.
Yeah, the OG.
To really throw.
What I need to do is get one of those Evergreen or EverDrive cards or whatever they are for the Super Nintendo and the regular Nintendo, so that like anybody that comes over if they want to play any old school stuff, ready to go at a moment's notice.
Those things are sick. Like when I was really looking into the retro stuff, it's like those carts you can get that are like essentially just like you plug a micro SD in and then just like hook up an emulator. It's like actually pretty nice and it just runs off the system. It's pretty sick.
It's perfect. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
That's outside of that, man. It's been great. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
No, I was gonna say like just like thinking about that, it's like it's gotta be a goal for me one day. I'm just gonna like get all the old systems, buy one of those like kind of like, mega carts and then just load it up and have it at the ready. Sounds like a perfect thing for a TV setup.
Well, I've told you multiple times in my city we have like a designated kind of thrift store for retro gaming stuff. So if you ever are interested in stuff, like I routinely will see like Segas, I'll see Super Nintendo's there. I've seen an NES there, like an OG NES, not one of the rip-off ones. So if you're like, obviously they have N64, PlayStation, Wii, stuff like that. But yeah, if you're interested in that, I can keep an eye out for you if you want me to. Just let me know.
Man, I'll let you know. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I definitely at some point I want to do something like that. I wish you had more stores, kind of where I'm in the area I'm at, but fortunately, not much like gaming wise. There's thrift stores, but they don't offer a whole lot. So, every time I go to a big city, it's like I'll often think about, okay, like what stores can I check out that probably don't have in my area?
Dude, I live
time to do it.
Next time you come to Charlotte, whether it's a show or just like coming to visit or whatever, we can kind of plan a trip and drive around all day if you want to. There's like 5 or 6 stores. They're all across town. One of them's just in South Carolina, and they basically are geared towards gaming stuff from the 90s to about like 2010s. So anything you want in that era, they got. They're like super big into not pinballs. I mean, they do have pinball machines, but they also have like the old school arcade with CRTs built in and the big stand. Yeah, so if you're interested in going really retro, let me know.
Yeah. I don't know, dude, cool. Maybe. I think like when I was looking at like the GameCube games and stuff like that, when I was like really like kind of looking into it, like, earlier last year, it was kind of like, I noticed the GameCube games, certainly some of them can get kind of pricey, but it's also like, I felt like the GameCube in particular was like harder to find. I think it's just cause the type of disc they made and all that, and kind of the rarity that some of the games are.
Yeah, there's like one of two reasons, right? So they made the disc so small because of copyright issues. Back then, people were like just constantly spoofing the CDs and then using them to play whatever games they wanted. There was like soft modding the Wii or soft modding the Xbox. They will take those like full size CDs. Yeah. Same thing with PlayStation, if I believe. PlayStation, I think, was easier to soft mod. I never really owned one, so I don't know for sure. But that was one of the reasons why the discs were so small. The other reason that you won't be able to find the games that readily available is the fact that the GameCube didn't really sell as well as Nintendo expected. So they just kind of gave up on it, it felt like. And if you remember correctly, I think the Wii came out before the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. I could be wrong there, but that was like my gut feeling. I remember everybody had a Wii. Barely anybody I knew had a GameCube.
Yeah.
Which is such a lame thing.
I got
a GameCube right over there.
Yeah, when you think about it, it is crazy. But I mean, you're totally right. It was definitely like a black sheep of a console at the time. It's kind of like the GameCube. Yeah. Everyone was like, I don't know if I like the smaller discs and that kind of thing, but
yeah,
they built up that library, man. Well, it is.
It was really weird. Like the GameCube was very innovative, to say the least. It was so modular. I was explaining it to a couple of friends of just how you can attach so many things to it. Remember how the Game Boy was, the Game Boy Advance, or Game Boy Color, and you have all these different attachments that can keep magnifying, like lights.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so crazy how you could use like Game Boy Game Boy games and plug it into the GameCube to
Yeah,
play, like,
I
if you
think
had a
that
Pokemon
was the
game,
coolest thing. It's like you get the bottom
that was
attachment and
so
then you can slot
crazy.
in
Yeah,
Game Boy Advance games. You're like playing
yeah,
on bigger screens. Like, whoa.
yeah. It might have been an expense thing too. It could have been one of those things. I was so young, I don't remember what the value was,
Yeah, oh yeah,
but the they were the first ones that I knew of that actually had a really good wireless controller as well. The
yeah.
Wavebird.
The Wavebird, man, that giant
Mhm.
dongle.
Oh yeah,
It worked
but it
well though.
worked.
Worked well.
It worked so well. Yeah, blew my mind. And I remember I was using I would always use wired. Maybe this is where my wired obsession started. I always used wired controllers for GameCube's like Melee, Super Smash Bros. Melee, but I never used it for the wireless one, the wireless
Oh
controller that I
yeah,
had. I
yeah.
would use like wireless controller for pretty much like Double Dash, and Double Dash wasn't that popular, but Super Mario Sunshine was really really fun.
Mm.
I missed
Cracking
that
open
game
Wind
actually.
Waker, playing that with the Wavebird.
Oh,
Sitting
bro, that's
back.
like one of my favorite Zelda games ever.
Yeah.
Wind Waker, I love it.
Dude.
That got my obsession with like pirates and ship games. Probably the reason why I went to a school that was all about pirates. To be honest.
This is the thing, man. I gotta admit, I never really played the old Zelda games. It's the one
Yeah, you
sin
kill
I've
me.
committed, dude. And
I don't think
I'm
it's
gonna
a
make it right
sin. I
one
think
day.
it's
I'll
I
make it
think it's
right
a
one day.
generational thing, man.
Yeah,
Did you
maybe. I don't know.
do you have a Switch?
Yeah, I do. Switch.
Do you have Breath of the Wild?
I think at one point I should. Pretty sure at one point I did. I couldn't remember if I like shared it with somebody or I actually had it, but I should have it.
I'm one of the old heads, one of the rare old heads that thinks Breath of the Wild is the best Zelda game ever.
Okay.
I think it's better than Ocarina of Time.
Oh, he's in. Oh man,
I said it.
he's in that camp.
I will die.
He's in that camp.
Die on this
Okay.
hill. Yeah.
He's the Breath
I
of the
love
Wild
Ocarina
truther.
of Time, dude. I am the wild truther. Yeah, I will spread the great word that is Breath of the Wild.
That's
It's a
funny.
phenomenal game. It's
Yeah.
really really good, and if you do it to 100%, it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Hey, man. It's one of those games. There's been so many of them. They had to try different styles, and a lot of them have worked in their favor. So, just one of those
I
things.
don't really know any of them that have like absolutely flopped. Like, what's the lowest rated one? I don't even know. That's a conversation we should have on a pod where we just go through like our top tens or like our top fives of different Zelda games or something.
I mean, dude, I was like thinking. I was thinking about that recently, doing like just doing the top 10 list, like our definitive lists, and then like we don't tell each other, and then we just kind of react to each spot as we go. I think it'd be
Oh
pretty dope
yeah, I like that.
to do that.
Yeah, I like that. Like top 10 all time video game list, or a top 10, or maybe number one game in each genre.
That could work too. Like that's a
Yeah.
list. Top 10 all time. That's a list. Like
Yeah.
there's different variations, but I think it'd be fun just to like rip through that one day, just kind of see, give
Yeah.
the audience kind of an insight into what we like, and then and we could even
I
like
agree.
show each other what we like. So sick.
Yeah. I think that'd be really fun. It'd be a good time. But you know, it's gonna be fun is the moment we start getting into what the heck Xbox is up to. How about you start us off with the first episode, or the first? I always say that.
The first
The
episode.
first article.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. What's the point of Xbox? That's what I started this conversation with. Like, what is the point? Do you know the point?
Bring all games everywhere to you at all times. I think that's the point now.
This guy
That's
keeps
where I'm
up. This guy keeps up. Look at this guy. He knows his stuff.
We out here.
So this is coming from John Clark. I don't know his kind of online name. Do I try to pronounce that? I'm scared to try to pronounce this.
Sikamika Nuko?
Sikamika Nuko? Nico? Yeah.
Nico. It's gotta be Nico.
Sikamika Nico. What a name, dude. I kind of just like it's got like a little alliteration to it. Like anyway. It's official. Xbox are tearing down the walled garden traditions of console gaming, with the next generation of Xbox not only giving gamers a choice on where and how they play, but if they're on Xbox, access to multiple storefronts, not just the Xbox Store. What's the point of Xbox? We've heard that one before, but now I think we have the answer. Again, this is Xbox era. We don't often cover stuff from Xbox era. It's very kind of niche into
really
the
don't. Yeah.
Xbox world. They dive deep. So I thought this is kind of an interesting article. So figure we cover it, and it talks about some of the recent stuff they announced. So I have to admit, it's nice to see Microsoft at least appearing more agile than they've traditionally seemed, with the Xbox president Sarah Bond getting out ahead of the rumor mill and setting the stage for the next generation of Xbox themselves, rather than fans making assumptions via desperate bits and pieces of various sources. In case you missed it, Xbox dropped a new video announcing a strategic multi-year partnership with AMD to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including our next generation of Xbox consoles in your living room and in your hands. Despite only just announcing a handheld in partnership with Asus, there's further confirmation that native handhelds are indeed planned after all, putting to bed recent rumors that they'd been delayed or canceled outright. Next up, Xbox dismantled the next major sticking point of debate around the Xbox Ally X. As it's just a handheld PC, it can't play the 1,000+ digital Xbox games I already own. Plenty of folks have even been very vocal about this, and there's some good news here. These new devices will maintain compatibility with your existing library of Xbox games. On the surface, so far so good. Sarah Bond and team went a little further, finally confirming the rumor we've been discussing for months now. This is all about building you a gaming platform that's always with you, so you can play the games you want across devices anywhere you want, delivering you an Xbox experience that's not locked to a single store or tied to one device. It's a groundbreaking announcement, and stop me if you've heard this one before, one that is likely to completely redefine the home console market. Either way, it's for sure going to rustle some jimmies. Yeah. I just have to say, the Xbox handheld, I can't express how excited I am just to see the reviews and the performance and what people say, because as a handheld device, the fact that this is in the Xbox ecosystem but also works with other storefronts like Steam and Epic Games and and Ubisoft and all this other stuff, just seeing that and being, it's almost and some people may disagree, but it's almost like when I think of the iPhone ecosystem, and it's I'm personally, for me, I'm an iPhone user, so I'm so even though I don't have a Mac, I'm just so I love the iPhone ecosystem. I love kind of the apps, the way the phone operates. It's for me, Xbox, whenever Xbox ties, the brand itself ties to a device like this, it's okay, this is a handheld where they're in partnership with Windows. They're trying to work with Windows to make sure that's the most seamless gaming experience on a handheld that's also a PC. And so that gets me excited. I think that's why I'm really looking forward to see if this thing's actually any good, because if it is, it's whenever I do eventually get a handheld, because I feel it's kind of not if but when at this point, because the handhelds are just so big.
Yeah.
It's I might go with Xbox. I don't know if it's good.
I think
it's good.
Honestly, I didn't really think about that, but you're right. For me, what I always thought about these handhelds coming out, especially the Steam Deck. So you're familiar with how Steam Deck has their console launcher or whatever that they have, where
Steam OS and all that.
Yeah, and you can kind of just run everything using your controller, and control everything using your controller only. You don't need a mouse and keyboard. I kind of figure that's what the handheld would be for Xbox or really any other launcher, because there's multiple versions. There's third party, well, not third party, it's mostly a custom made Play Night, which will pull all of your games on your PC regardless of the launcher it's on.
Yeah.
And consolidate it, and then you can use your controller, access it, control it. It's similar to a handheld, but it's you gotta have the monitor, of course. But it's console-ifying, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Your Xbox or your PC. And with the handhelds for the Ally X, I kind of had the feeling I was just going to be launching the Xbox app, and then I can launch the Steam app, and then it would launch it that way. I don't see how that would be an issue,
Yeah. I mean, I like.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's seeing the new handheld Xbox. I'm all over the place online looking at reviews for Steam Decks and stuff to see the appeal of handheld more and kind of understand it. I've seen some videos where people are showing off you need to get a Steam Deck now, and it's kind of and they're talking about their experience with it and how it's it's changed gaming for them, and I can take this thing anywhere, and it's got me playing more games, kind of thing. Changed my relationship with it. And it all sounds exciting and great. And I think the Steam Deck overall, especially when people talk about like the OLED display and all that, that's kind of where it has the edge, I think, over most handhelds. And so like that stuff gets me excited. But it's like seeing this Xbox handheld, it's like, all right, I want to wait and actually see what this thing is like, how this OS operates and all that. I think having that Xbox ecosystem is an appeal for me that may put this a little slightly over the edge compared to other devices. I mean, not having the OLED screen is kind of like, I don't think it's a huge deal because like I'm pretty sure the iPhone's an OLED. And I really like the display.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's not make or break for me, especially this 120 frames VRR, like it still has a lot, I think, going for it in terms of a handheld. It's certainly not going to be as visually stunning as an OLED. But I think just having that OS experience and getting rid of that Windows bloat and actually utilizing the operating system, and again, Agreed. It's a gaming first device. That's how they're advertising it. So that has me excited. So I'm really looking forward to these reviews. I want to see what people say. I want to see this thing's good.
Yeah. I think you're right. I'm on board with that. I've been trying to do this like limitation for myself of expectations, where I don't know how to explain this. It's like they're advertising the 120 frames and all this like high refresh rate, all the performance data and stuff. But I've been trying to think about it logically. I'm not competing really at all anymore, and I'm also, if I'm playing mobily, I don't care how many frames I get. Like as long as I get over 60, I've been playing on 30 FPS for over a decade before, and I was just fine, you know?
Mm.
So it's like it's one of those things where I think 60 FPS should be the bare minimum. Anything above 90 should be like, this is awesome, especially when it comes to handheld. Now, if you're competing, yeah, you need like 366, whatever. You got to go crazy with it, you know? But I think we need to start viewing the performance data, the frames per second, and the quality in a way where it actually makes sense. You know, it's like if you're playing story-driven content, the story, you're not running super fast, not high intensity of like frame rate, like you need to make super quick reaction time. Why do you need 240 frames per second? You know, it doesn't make sense.
It's true.
But what does make sense is the OLED and the resolution, and then getting at least 60. At least 60, I think, is the right way. And then the battery life lasts long. I think that should be the focus. And handhelds, like you're saying, are becoming more of that. And it's good to see.
It's true.
Good reason to be excited.
Yeah, I could agree with you for sure. Some of those points. Let's continue. We've been hearing all sorts of rumors, conjecture, and theorizing on the new strategy for months now. How it seems Microsoft are willing to get out in front of these rumors and say it publicly. Say goodbye to the way that gamers, the media, and the industry itself have considered the console market should be. Xbox has made it clear that it's time to tear down the traditional walls that have boxed in players for decades. And I think finally it's time for gamers to come to terms with it. These announcements outline a pretty ambitious future, but I understand why Microsoft are doing it. PlayStation are the default platform when it comes to console gaming, and they're more than happy to continue the status quo. Even recently, they've reiterated their belief in the exclusive software for their hardware strategy. Microsoft have been trying for 20 plus years to win the console war. They came very close to victory with the 360, but then some serious, foolhardy decision making squandered every piece of goodwill they had, and they've never recovered. Microsoft, now that playing the game as it exists today, they will never win. Now, in a massive departure from industry norms, Bond confirms that future Xbox hardware will not be locked to a single store, meaning the players will be free to access and purchase their games from multiple third-party storefronts, think Steam, Epic, GOG, potentially more. Microsoft positioned the idea with their oft-repeated slogan, play what you want, where you want, with who you want, on the device you want. It's not catchy, but it works.
That's right.
Kind of a lengthy one. Not gonna lie. Is this the point of Xbox? Is this the point? Sick graphic. I like that. I like the little Xbox. Little drop.
Actually clean, yeah.
This openness of course mirrors Microsoft's PC dealings, where Windows is the default operating system worldwide. The lines between PC and console are closer and more blurred than ever before, and this move finally gives Xbox a really solid answer to an often positioned headline. What's the point of Xbox? I've read that headline, or variants of it, for a few years now. I feel like they're finally starting to make an argument that's hard to ignore. The point of Xbox is a player-first place to play driven by player choice. Yes, Microsoft didn't get to this point willingly, but nonetheless, this is where they are. It sounds pretty great to me. It sounds great to me as well. Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with them. Good take.
As a consumer of video games, the idea that I can have a console that allows me to shop around for the best prices, take advantage of the latest Steam summer sale, or hell, even just access my existing library on PC while still getting the best of the platform holders' offerings, Game Pass, Play Anywhere, and of course, access to thousands of games I already own on Xbox. Seriously now, tell me what's bad about this. Let me know in the comments of this article, which you can read if you click on the description below, why, or if you want to, like, give your peace of mind.
Show us love.
You can in the comments why this is something we should doom over. Because right now I'm struggling to see the downsides. The idea of what a console is or what it should be is changing. It's not just about the box under the TV. It's the device in my hands or the app built in my TV in a hotel room. It's my games where I want them to be. It's true. Play anywhere. Play anywhere, dude. I have a Samsung television. I've played the Xbox Cloud Gaming on that thing. I played Fable 2. Like 5-6 hours of Fable 2 one time. It was like, well, not bad. It was a little laggy, but not bad.
I think it just takes a while to get used to. Once you're like used to it, you're fine.
It was playable. I mean, I think if they release a controller that connects directly to the router or whatever it was, maybe it's a smoother experience. I don't know.
Or if you have like crazy high speed internet like Google Fiber and like 1 millisecond latency.
Yeah, maybe. Change is hard. You know that, Mike? I agree. Change is hard for me.
That's a fact.
It can be hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. All these changes come at a time of turbulence in the industry. Discoverability is harder for developers than ever before, and we've all seen the studio closures, the layoffs. Sony is preparing themselves for the PlayStation 6. Nintendo has just launched the Switch 2. Right now, it seems that both platform holders still believe, to varying degrees, in the walled gardens and closed hardware that have defined the console industry since its beginning.
Yeah, those two in particular. Sony and Nintendo.
Xbox, for whatever missteps have led them here, are finally doing what they have to do to compete. We live in a world where every device is connected, where almost every modern game is cross-platform or cross-play in some fashion. Xbox are embracing a far more open, flexible, player-first strategy that puts my library and my choice of device first. I find that incredibly difficult to argue against. I never really thought about it that way, but this is I mean, obviously we've known for a while now that this is Xbox's strategy. They want to put everything everywhere. But I didn't think about it in terms of like, if Xbox wants to quote unquote win, it's their best option. Just give the player as much, onus and control as they feel they can have, and try and just make it so that, hey, if I want to play on this, all right, I'm good. If I want to play on my PC, I'm good. Phone, I'm good. TV, I'm good. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I think Xbox kind of we shouldn't really say Xbox anymore. It's just Microsoft at this point. Microsoft had predicted and effectively controlled the software market for forever, right? They're gearing Windows activity all to the OneDrive service. They're having everybody use their cloud service-based models. They're like Microsoft Azure's clouds and servers. All the game developers are using them to host their servers for online play. They've had their Xbox Live prescription since Xbox launched back in 2001. So they've always been in the subscription market for a while. I think what they're trying to do now is they probably realized all these controllers, all the hardware, they're now going third party. They don't have a close I don't know, they can't they can't enclose third party hardware manufacturers from using proprietary information and then selling it on the market. And they probably realize, especially with the OG Xbox being so moddable, that people are going to be downloading games illegally and playing them illegally. And they probably realize that's not worth the effort to fight in court. Nintendo doesn't know that. And we're going to talk about that soon, where they just continue fighting their fan base and their population. Rightfully so, they fight it, but there are other aspects I don't want to get into right now where they're being foolish. However, Xbox is just well, what can we do? We can turn everything back to how Microsoft Office works, where people pay us a subscription, and we also upsell them to like Microsoft OneDrive, where they can access their entire computer virtually on a web browser from anywhere in the world, and basically just keep selling them the subscription and then upcharging, upcharging, and upcharging. And then all of a sudden, you don't really need super powerful machines to operate their services. You just need a machine that's capable of high speed internet to then access their cloud based services or their like server that's up in freaking Ashburn, Virginia that has a virtual machine on it. I think they're trying to do the same exact thing with Xbox Live and just the Xbox gaming franchise in general. Because when you play and you stream your games to your phone's not doing the hardware, actual like processing. It's just kind of receiving the images and then displaying it to you
Yeah.
when you're doing cloud gaming. And Microsoft already had that, pretty much already had that all existing. It was just a matter of opening the floodgates for Xbox to come into the fold. And I think that's what they realized about 10 years ago and they started doing.
Yeah.
And now I think it's too late for Sony because they don't have that type of ecosystem. They're not selling. There's no such thing as like a Sony operating system for your PC.
It's true.
So how do they combat it? And Nintendo is just like, well, we have our own ecosystem. If you don't like if you want to play Mario Party, if you want to play Mario Kart, there's really only one place to go to. If you want to play Zelda, only one place to go to.
Yeah.
You want to play Pokemon, bro, you better have a Nintendo. That's like one of the things that they have. And they've always kind of had. And the difference with Nintendo is they're always trying to innovate the experience of the hardware. Like the freaking Switch 2, granted, having a webcam in the game is so silly and stupid in a way, but it's also hilarious and it's fun. And the docking system and having your little Joy-Con being a mouse, none of these other guys are doing that.
Yeah.
So I think Xbox is going to survive well into the future because of the strategy. Our guy over here at Xbox Era is talking about John Clark. Sikamika Nico.
Yeah. It's such a good point. The infrastructure was already there. And at some point, I think everyone was just like, light bulb. Why don't we just use, like, can we borrow some of that? Like, and just like start streaming this? Like, we have everything we need. And they have the upper hand that they're, Microsoft's a parent company. So, so you kind of have the upper hand. It's like Windows. Wow. Like, all right, we could really leverage this. Like, whoa.
Dude.
So here we are, man. They're leveraging it.
It's so true.
And Sony doesn't got like Windows or I don't know, some like operating system that they have or some growing ecosystem. So
all right, I'm gonna say it again. It's been 4 years I've been saying this, dude. You already know what it is. Why don't we have a PlayStation built into a Sony TV? Why is that not a thing? I need a new TV. I've needed a new TV for 2 years, and all I've been doing is just praying, wishing, hoping. Why isn't there a PlayStation 5 inside of my Sony PC or like my Sony TV? That's what the goal should be, especially for Sony. Dude, they know how to make TV entertainment. Their sound systems are amazing. Like, what are we doing, man? Their smart TVs are dope. It's awesome. Just integrate the PlayStation.
They're good. At this point, I'd love to run a national poll to see, to gamers out there, be like, hey, if Sony made PlayStation inside a TV, would you purchase this TV? I'd be curious to see how many people be like, I would very much enjoy that. Because I don't know, we talk about it, but like, and I don't want to shoot your idea down, but I feel like you might be the lower, you might be a pretty, quiet market. So I don't know if they'd ever actually do it. But what did they have to lose at this point,
Bro, they're out here charging crazy money for a PlayStation without a CD drive.
It's true.
And you have to upgrade the hard drive.
It's very true.
And first of all, their console looks like trash.
Oh man.
It looks like a giant oversized router. It looks like Dookie, bud.
Well, they ain't making that thing now. They'd be like, oh, we heard Mad Mike, but they trashed our console.
Yeah. I mean, make an all white like TV. Do they make all white TVs?
They should. They don't.
Why is that not a thing?
Most TVs are black, yeah. That's it. Crazy.
Yeah, because they used to be either black or like silver. I have a CRT right here and it's silver. Oh no, I'm getting upset. Let's
It's
keep it
crazy,
going.
man. Yeah. Xbox, well, Xbox is doing what they do. They've had missteps, obviously, especially in the past couple of years. But
Oh, for sure.
hey,
They've
man.
had missteps.
But
All right.
there's a company that's probably had more missteps. But hey, nah.
Yeah. I mean, like Switch. The Switch was a success, but they should have upgraded a while ago. We'll get into that. We'll get some opinions going. So Cameron Faulkner over here at The Verge has written an article about the Switch. So he says Nintendo will take your Switch 2 offline forever if you use a MIG flash cartridge. Whether you're pirating games or playing copies of the games you own, Nintendo thinks you're guilty. Do you know what a MIG flash cartridge is,
I
Kyle?
do not. Never heard of it in my life, I'll be honest.
Let's get into it. So let's see what it is. What is a MIG flash cartridge? And I'm pretty sure it's similar to like the EverDrive for the original what's it called N64 or Super Nintendo. So a MIG switch, also known as a MIG flash, is a type of flash cartridge designed for the Nintendo Switch. It allows users to store and play games backups from a micro SD card, effectively tricking the console into recognizing it as a legitimate game cartridge. Essentially, it's a device that lets you play your own game backups on a Switch without needing to swap physical cartridges. Now that's very convenient, but it's also illegal. Let's get into what he has to say.
Just a little bit.
So Cameron over here, no kidding, right? So Cameron went ahead and wrote this article. He said some Switch 2 owners have received the error code 21344508, which results in their consoles being permanently banned from accessing any of its online services, as spotted by IGN. It's not a ban hammer from sucking at Mario Kart World, thankfully for him, but one that's targeting consoles that have used a MIG, a micro SD card, equipped Switch cartridge that can be filled with copies of games. Running games on the MIG requires you to download them from others who have dump files off of cartridges, or dump the games yourself with something like a MIG dumper. Then load them into a micro SD card. Whether you've used one to play pirated games or play copies of games that you own, Nintendo's stance on the matter is broad. It considers both to be violations of its user agreements. I've always felt like Nintendo felt that way. I know they came crashing down on the Wii community, the Dolphin emulator community, multiple times over the last like basically 10, 15 years. So the fact
Yeah.
that some people were using this, wild,
Mm.
wild behavior. Um, the makers of the MIG cartridge have taken reasonable efforts to distance itself from what a majority of buyers will likely do with it, which is play party games. The cartridge product page notes that it serves as a backup and development devices solely supporting gaming using personal game backups. To maintain the MIG flash warranty during online play, it's essential to utilize self dumped backups with authentic certificate UID and card set ID. That is basically a CYA note to keep them from being sued from the very happy to sue Nintendo company. They're always suing people, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So Nintendo isn't breaking the consoles of offenders, at least not immediately. YouTube creators Scattered Brain posted a video about their banned Switch 2 in which they tried to find a way to work around the ban. Attempting to visit the eShop wasn't possible, nor was unlinking an account from the console, since both activities require the internet. They were able to unlink virtual game cards from their Switch 2 from Nintendo's account management site and load them onto a Switch OLED, suggesting that the ban itself is a hardware ban, not the account. However, a factory reset essentially bricked their Switch 2 as it no longer allowed signing into any Nintendo account. This is something that Nintendo reserves the right to do per its updated account services, user agreement, and privacy policy. Dude, I've heard of them, not just them, but like I've heard of entire hardware bans on Xbox games or Xbox consoles. I have never heard of like we're gonna hardware ban you by banning your account to where it's like your account is essentially has a virus on it that whenever you upload that account to another console, it will brick that console as well. That's like an ultra perma ban.
Yeah,
It's nuts.
that is very intense.
Yeah. I mean, that'll deter a lot of people for sure. So no one, but especially MIG users, should be surprised about this ban. Nintendo has a rich history of aggressively pursuing those who pirated its games, as well as those who build emulators that can run pirated copies of the games originally made for its platforms. Considering that the Switch 2 is the fastest selling console of all time, Nintendo's clearly throwing everything it's got at making sure gamers are playing by its rules. Honestly, I got to side with Nintendo on this one. I don't blame them for going after it. I get like,
Yeah.
dude, I get it. I say this is gonna be hypocritical. I have the original Xbox that's modded. I just talked about earlier in the episode about getting an EverDrive to do this very thing for the Nintendo 64 and Super Nintendo. But the difference is those consoles are like 20 years old. I don't do that with the Wii. I don't do that with the GameCube, and I sure as heck wouldn't do it with the Switch. Like, in a way, if you are a collector as well, and I know Nintendo doesn't really care about third-party sellers or like secondhand selling, especially they always were going after like GameCube, GameStop and stuff, but they're kind of protecting the market for the value of your games, and it's kind of worth like being okay with that. If you have a bunch of Nintendo Switch games, those are going to go up in value over time. They're not going to make any more of those. So if you have people making the MIG cartridge, it's not going to be the same as having the physical real thing. I don't know. What's your take, Kyle? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is certainly intense because like you get banned, or you get banned and then your Switch is bricked, and then you're trying to like use your buddies, and it's like, oh wait a minute, don't add your account, dude. I don't want my Switch getting banned. It's pretty crazy, but I mean, you hope people learn their lessons, right? Get this level of ban, it's like at this point, it's like all right. But yeah, I mean, use a cartridge like this, that it's like, I mean, yeah, you could certainly do a lot of illegal activities with this. So I mean, it makes sense. It is intense, but
Yeah,
I mean, Nintendo holds the right to do that. I mean, certainly in their agreements and stuff. So I mean,
yeah, because it's in the agreements. It's one of those things where it's like you don't really own what you purchase, which is such a shame.
Yeah, and that sucks too. Yeah, it's something I'm not a fan of. I mean, it's as someone who's appreciated, you know, all the games on my shelf, and then I have music as well. Like it's just like physical and all that. Someone who appreciates that kind of stuff. Yeah, it sucks that you don't really own games anymore. Kind of just like, all right, well, I have this account. I better play right because I don't want to lose access to it. And then that's like in some cases hundreds or thousands in the drain for some people. So
yeah, there is also a sense of like maybe contentment if you are one of the people that use the MIG cartridge, you did get banned, and then it bricked your Switch 2 because you signed in there. There is an element of like, maybe I shouldn't even say it. It's just like because that console is banned forever and you can't get online, you can still use the MIG cartridge. Really, you just can't get on the eShop anymore. So it just becomes like super inconvenient.
Yeah.
The IP, like it's almost like an IP ban, but it's a hardware ban of the console. That is wild. It makes me wonder, like, because it doesn't mention in the article. What if you signed in with a legitimate account and then tried to sign in? Did they mention that? I don't think they did, right?
I don't think so.
So it's like if you sign out, you sign in with a legitimate one. Can you sign online? Because what they said was they did a factory reset. Or no, they signed out, signed into a Switch 2 with the same account that got banned, and it bricked the Switch 2.
Yeah, because wouldn't allow any account to sign in.
Yeah, so now it's just like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's like a console ban.
Right? I really don't like the fact that everything's going digital because you're getting rid of the MIG cartridges, and I don't know. You're also getting rid of like the collector's market. It's tough, man.
It's true, man. Like, I see these articles. Yeah, you got the Switch 2 games that are just you get the case, and it's just a key inside. It's not even an actual game.
And it's like What?
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm pretty
Just let me
sure.
scan something with my phone.
Yeah, for real. I'm pretty sure like Xbox might be doing something similar. I saw like some console, like
Yeah.
there was another company that was doing the same thing. It's like digital code. It's like
Yeah, Xbox was one of those, but I always assumed it was because Xbox games got up to like 250 gigabytes.
yeah,
Like
it's just not readable
crazy
at that
size.
point.
And it's like you can't fit that on a little disc.
Yeah,
So
it's like what's like Final
I get that
Fantasy, right?
aspect, but
This is the new Final Fantasy
yeah.
Rebirth on 2 discs. It's like 2 disc game. It's like what? What?
Dude, yeah, back in the day it's like games used to be 2 discs.
Yeah, like it made sense, but now it's like we're at the point
Yeah.
where it's even bigger for these like on these Blu-rays or whatever they print them on. It's crazy.
Yeah. Facts. But yeah, that's a bit of an update for the Switch 2. I figure we just keep it trucking along, and you can fill us in on whatever the heck Mind's Eye is.
Mind's Eye. It's been quite the week if you've been keeping track with the Mind's Eye. Whether
Yeah.
it's Twitter or news articles.
Dude, I've seen
funny.
so many videos of like people running into NPCs and they're essentially becoming parachutes
Yep.
of like polygons. It's just insane.
Oh, so good. Well, I mean, it sucks for them, but it's great content.
Oh, of
great
course.
memes.
Yeah.
Disastrous MindsEye launch plagued by performance issues. This article from Tom's Hardware, Joey Morales, said even a RTX 5090 can't deliver 60 FPS despite 19 gigabytes of VRAM usage. Developer working on a fix. Third-person action adventure title Mind's Eye has had a disastrous launch after many day one players complained of performance issues despite driving at top-of-the-line equipment. One creator shared on X that they have an average FPS of just 55 despite running an RTX 5090 paired with an AMD Ryzen 7 9800X 3D at 64 gigabytes of DDR5. That's crazy setup. Crazy build.
It's so beefy.
Screenshot shows the game at 98% GPU usage and gobbles up 19 gigs of VRAM. Comes after the game was universally panned on launch for its unfinished state, with players reporting wild glitches and strange NPC behavior. One player running a more modest system, an RTX 9070 XT GPU matched to a 9800X 3D processor, tried the game set to the lowest possible quality. They were able to achieve a more reasonable 84 FPS, but they had atrocious 21 FPS 1% lows and 16 FPS 0.1% lows. And then it links to the tweet kind of showing the screenshot of how that looks.
Just getting cooked.
These absolutely horrendous numbers make the game quite unplayable on most PCs. Most gaming PCs, and it's quite reminiscent of Cyberpunk 2077, which ran into the same problems when it launched 5 years ago. One might argue that the developers would have warned the players about the hardware requirements for Mind's Eye, but the Steam page says otherwise. It's kind of crazy. I didn't keep up super close with it, but it's like you didn't even put the hardware stuff. Dang,
dude. They launched this game and it wasn't complete at all or optimized. Definitely not optimized.
Oh, man. It's rough.
Yeah.
Game's minimum requirements are an Intel Core i5-12400F or an AMD Ryzen 5 5600X, matched to a GPU with 6 gigabytes of VRAM, like RTX 2060 or RX 5600 XT. The 2060 run on this, dude, I think would give a ride.
Good luck.
Take an egg on that
Good luck.
16 gigs of RAM. If you want a better experience, its recommended specifications are an Intel Core i7 13700K or AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D with a GPU like the RTX 4070 or RX 6800 XT. However, the samples we've seen show that these specifications are largely unable to run the game at good quality with acceptable FPS numbers. Yeah. And then, there's a tweet from Nick Tex saying, here's my performance at the lowest possible settings, 1% lows, and 0.1% are absolutely atrocious. I don't recommend playing this game on PC. That video is in the article. I won't play it here, but...
Yeah, there's also... I was watching this podcast where they're basically... Their whole thing is to play the crappiest games possible, and they all switch turns of like what game it is.
Yeah.
They played Mind's Eye, and there were just crazy bug elements. But while they were streaming and doing the episode, it was like an hour-long episode, I guess not streaming. They were recording because it wasn't a live video. But as he's playing, it's like shaking out of control, and they were getting nutty frame drops. I'm talking about like it was going down from 60 FPS to about like 4 or 5
That's
while
crazy.
he was driving the vehicle, and he was like, "Guys, on my end, it looks fine. It looks good. The quality settings were like maxed out, but he's like, the game's just not fun."
Oh
And
man.
they kept just memeing the heck out of it. There was nothing to do, and they weren't having a good time.
Yeah.
But I'll let you continue on with the hardware aspect of this.
Yeah. GameGPU.com tested the game in maximum quality and no upscaling across different GPUs with a 9800 X3D CPU. The results showed that you need at least a RX 9070 with 16 gigs of VRAM to hit more than 60 FPS at 1080 resolution. If you want to play at 1440p, only the RTX 4090 24 gig and RTX 5090 32 gig can go above that number. While no GPU achieves more than 60 FPS at 4K. None. Not one. You play this game.
Not a chance.
You play this game in 4K? Not a chance, pal. Sorry, dude. Try another one.
Mm-mm.
Get back. I heard The Witcher got 4K support. Play Witcher 3. Something, dude. Suggested minimum and recommended GPUs for the game aren't even listed in the test, as they only have 6 gig or 8 gig for VRAM. Whereas the least powerful tested GPU is the RTX 2080 Ti, which was 11 gigs of VRAM. Despite being locked at 30 FPS, console players are also reporting reportedly experiencing stutter issues. Thankfully, the developers have already released a statement on Steam acknowledging the issue and said they are working on a hotfix for the game. Improving performance across all devices is our immediate focus. The team said a patch that begins our commitment to address that is scheduled for the end of this week on PC, which will also roll out to consoles as soon as possible. This is a comforting thought for the players who've invested at least $60 to buy this game, only to find it unplayable on their systems. Hopefully the team irons out these kinks and gets the game playing as smoothly as possible for the greatest number of systems. But then you get it working and then people realize, oh no, the content. What is it? They're playing like I can't find the content. Oh man. You get it working great. But like then they realize the foundation's made out of like toilet paper. It's wet. And they're like, oh no. It's just not looking good, man. Not looking good for this game. But yeah, I saw tons of clips. I saw like there was a clip where someone was like running into an NPC and they like ran into him with a car, and then all of a sudden it was just like and like you just went polygoned and stretched out. It's just like, what is happening? And then you see other clips. They're going to like the casino and stuff or hotels, and there's like the world's just kind of dead. There's not many NPCs, a lot of repeated faces.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, nobody really knows what the heck's going on in the job either, so is not having fun with it.
I mean, the GTA shooting looked cool, but the game don't perform well. Can't even do that. I mean, it's
what are you gonna do?
Yeah. It's so funny. I feel like it's been a while since we got a game of this magnitude that was bad. Maybe since Gollum or something like that, or it's just like this, just kind of like, what is this? But even Gollum, I think, probably performed better. It was just that game just didn't really have any substance. So I don't know.
You're right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that game, if I remember correctly, it was just completely busted from the get go, and everybody's like, "Yeah, I'm never playing this," and they all made memes out of it. I hate how some games are basically just turning full fledged memes, where it's like, "Okay, let's go play this and make fun of it." Sad.
Yeah,
But I
crazy.
also think it's deserved because it's like you shouldn't launch broken games.
Yeah.
I'm glad at least somebody's calling it out for what it is.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Definitely shouldn't. I mean, I saw a video recently that was recapping the whole the day before situation. Back it was like late last year, something like that. The day before, it's such a funny thing seeing that game. It's like there was a bunch of red flags leading up, and the game came out, and sure enough, it just was, nothing at all what they said it was.
Yep.
So
100%.
it's not to this. I mean, they haven't really reached day before levels, but this is like Saints Row reboot levels at launch.
Oh, jeez.
We're just like, this is something. So I finally finished that game. Let it be known. Finally happened.
Hey.
So, but that was like a couple years ago. But
yeah,
it happened, dude. It happened. So, but yeah, poor MindsEye, dude. So
yeah, poor MindsEye.
MindsEye, man.
Just nuts. It'll probably be good in a couple years, but will they still have the attention? Unlikely.
Unlikely, dude. You lose him at the start. research shows it's kind of hard to get them back. Yeah,
Yeah,
how
I
it
mean,
goes.
that's why I don't
First
understand why
impressions.
we
First
continue.
impressions matter, guys. Even in games.
It's a fact. It's on gold. All right, let's get into
Speaking
the
of
next
first
article of
impressions.
discussion.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
no kidding. All right, so Kotaku wrote an article. Zach Zwizen.
It's wise on.
Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong,
It's
Zach.
wise on.
Uh, we've talked about Marathon a couple of times here from Bungie. The last time we spoke about it was the fact that Bungie basically ripped off artwork from 2014 from essentially like an artist freelancer online posted his portfolio. That elements of the artwork ended up showing up in the game in the trailer and the beta. So yeah, it went horrific. And a lot of people are hating on Bungie big time for a lot of Destiny stuff. Let's go though. Bungie indefinitely delays Marathon to address negative fan feedback. Bungie says it will reveal the upcoming sci-fi extraction shooter's new release date in the fall. So it's on hiatus for the next 3 months, I guess, is what we can assume. Bungie announced that Marathon, the Destiny Studios' next big video game, has been delayed and will no longer be launching in September. That's a shame. Well, September's fall, isn't it? So maybe they're going to be like, uh, give us the whole rundown in September when the next date is. Yikes. The company gave no new release date, but promised to add features and make several changes that players requested after Marathon's alpha test earlier this year. When I said beta earlier, I meant alpha. Apologies. So on June 17th, Bungie's Marathon development team confirmed that the sci-fi FPS would not launch on September 23rd, citing feedback it received from the alpha. Many players found the alpha to be underwhelming, hard to play solo, lacking the tension seen in other extraction shooters, and not feeling like a part of the existing Marathon franchise that Bungie created back in the 1990s. Through every comment and real-time conversation on social media and Discord, your voice has been strong and clear, said Bungie in a post on his website. They continue by saying, "We've taken this to heart and we know we need more time to craft Marathon into the game that truly reflects your passion. After much discussion within our dev team, we have made the decision to delay September 23rd release." Honestly, this is the kind of transparency and talks that Bungie used to do back in the Halo days. They would give you a rundown of like, "Oh crap, we messed up. We'll redo it. It'll take us more time." And then the way the Bungie fans did, at least in Halo, because they were so excited about like new Halo games, they gave them a little bit of extra time. They're like, "Yeah, yeah, that's fine, whatever," and
Yeah.
they're okay with it. Or there's like it was more understanding. And they also did like blog posts of like messages from the devs and different teams.
Mm.
So I think that's kind of cool.
Very
It's
receptive.
interesting though.
Very receptive.
Yeah, exactly. The comments that we took from this, you and I, was about like what was it, 2, 3 weeks ago after the controversy broke. We covered the controversy of the artwork and the AI and the stealing, and then the second week or the week after, we covered an entire breakdown of why Marathon will fail, and it was basically the bullet points were exactly what this article mentions, citing feedback from the alpha. Basically, many players found that alpha is underwhelming, hard to play solo, lacking the tension seen in extraction shooters, and not feeling like a part of the existing Marathon franchise. That last bit about existing Marathon franchise, a lot of people don't remember that back in the 90s. You're talking about a fan base that's in their 40s.
I'm
Okay.
gonna be honest with you until I like heard the news about the marathon delay, and then I saw you wouldn't even keep it like the existing trilogy. I was like, there was an existing trilogy.
Oh,
I had
oh
no
yeah,
idea. I
Bungie's
was like, what?
but
Uh,
there's hints of Marathon in the original Halo games.
yeah, I
Yeah,
did not know
they're
that.
Bungie's an old company, dude, and Marathon's an even older franchise or IP. So yeah, dude, the fans that know about that are in their late 30s,
Yeah.
40s, maybe even 50s if they were early adapters to video games. But what I'm saying is like it's not the fact that they weren't feeling a part of the existing franchise. It's not about that. It's about the fact that like it didn't feel like a good tense extraction shooter and it was very difficult to play solo. And when they say hard to play solo, they mean boring, by the way. So
Yeah.
that's the problem. Anyways, so Kotaku has contacted Sony and Bungie about the delay. So in the post on Bungie's official website, and it's linked here if you guys want to check it out. We do have links in the description for everything we're covering and timestamps. The dev team said it has a few key areas is focusing on immediately, including making NPC enemies more challenging and engaging and improving Marathon's visual fidelity. I think that's the graphic design stuff that got stolen.
Yeah,
But the
quote
challenging
unquote.
and engaging is really what a lot of the players were complaining about. The team also plans to add proximity chat, which will be awesome. A highly requested feature that exists in most popular extraction shooters, but wasn't going to be included in Marathon. Also ridiculous not to have that. So here's everything Bungie says it is focused on as it works to improve Marathon based on feedback from fans. Upping the survival game is one of the topics. So they're going to make more challenging and engaging AI encounters, more rewarding runs with new types of loot and dynamic events, making combat more tense and strategic. Everybody just wants to play Tarkov. Doubling down on the marathon universe. So they want to increase visual fidelity, more narrative environmental storytelling to discover and interact with, a darker tone that delivers on the themes on the original trilogy, and then adding more social experiences, a better player experience for solo duos, proximity chat so social stories can come to life. That will be amazing for content and like watching streams. Very excited about that. Marathon has had a rough few months. Is that the next article, or are we
No, I think
think
he
it
just
is?
kind of he maybe gives a little recap of sorts, kind of stuff that we've covered before, about
Yeah.
like
Well,
the alpha and kind of how that turned out, and the artwork scandal. It talks about that some, so I know we've covered some of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So,
It kind of starts diving more into some other stuff as well. But let's go into it. So in 2023, Bungie and parent company PlayStation revealed Marathon with a flashy and really cool looking trailer. Since then, the game has gone through a rocky development process and changed a lot, evolving into a more round-based hero shooter with extraction elements. So in April, Bungie ran a big alpha test for Marathon, letting a bunch of players or people get their hands on the upcoming FPS. The alpha didn't go over incredibly well. Many extraction players felt like it lacked the tension found in other games like the genre, like Escape from Tarkov is basically what's mentioned multiple times. Visually, the game looked pretty plain and boring outside of its lavishly detailed interiors. Maps felt small. Gunplay against NPCs was fun, but often too easy. Loot wasn't great. Playing solo wasn't much fun. Worst of all, it felt like a lot of this wouldn't be fixed or improved on in the next 6 months before Marathon's planned September launch. Then, in May, things got worse for Bungie when an artist provided ample evidence that some of Marathon's artwork, design, and imagery had been ripped directly from their own work without permission, credit, or compensation. Bungie later confirmed the game contained the artist's work and blamed it on a former employee. It vowed to do a full check of all art in the game and didn't share any new gameplay or trailers. Honestly, a good idea. And then last week, PlayStation Studio CEO Herman Hulst said during an interview that he was excited about Marathon's launching this fiscal year. Notably, Hulst didn't say September, as spotted by Kotaku's own Ethan Gotch, who we've covered multiple articles on, his articles. This seemed to be the first hint that Marathon would get delayed. Now it's official. Marathon isn't launching in 3 months. It might not even launch this year. We'll find out one way or another when Bungie reveals the Troubled Shooters new release this fall. And then we start diving more into Silent Hill and a
yeah,
couple more things. So the articles just keep on running
yeah.
and running. Typical Kotaku. They don't believe in comment section anymore. They
I was
don't
to
want to
say it's
have
just kind of
discussions.
like the infinite scroll articles, dude. That's where we're at.
I get it. I mean, that's kind of what all the social media algorithms are turning into. Just keep doom
Infinite
scrolling,
scroll,
bro.
infinite scroll.
Just keep going. Just keep going. And then
Uh,
by the end of it, you're like circling back to the top,
yeah,
most recent.
and then you're just like refresh,
Yeah.
refresh. Single.
I really like this article though. It's a good little recap of why marathon was an issue, and it's yeah they're delaying it indefinitely, at least until like the fall. My guess is we probably won't hear about the actual release date until honestly like end of September would be
Yeah,
likely.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I think it's gonna be into September probably. We hear
Hmm.
about it. Yeah, it's. I think for a game like this, it's definitely like is the biggest culprit of needing a delay. I would have been very shocked if it didn't get delayed, especially when they announced September. I was like, yeah, it's pretty early, and the way it's getting received
Yeah.
by everyone is not a sign that it's ready in 3-4 months. So I think it's definitely good for them to get the delay. How much it'll actually help them with how much they're, um, in the hole right now in terms of the art stuff and the gameplay, the lack thereof, and like maps that'll be available. I think that remains to be said. I'm not extremely optimistic that it would be wholly complete by the time they actually do launch it, but maybe they'll surprise us. I don't know. It's,
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, I'd be shocked if it came out this year for sure. I think it's definitely a 2026 release at this point. I mean, obviously, it's not like I don't think it's going to go into 27 or late 2026 even, because I don't even know if Sony could probably afford to launch this along with some of the other titles they have in the pipeline. So it's
Yep.
at a certain point you
I
almost
think that's
have to
fair.
get this game out, I think, to not collide with other big releases. So I'll be curious to see what the new release date is.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The only thing that has me a little bit optimistic is their willingness to delay,
Yeah,
because how many times we've seen a game clearly not ready and they still launch it and it's still crap, and
yeah,
they just keep force pushing over and over and over again updates until it becomes a good game. But we have the same old issue. If you don't launch correctly, you could lose everybody very
certainly can.
quickly.
Yeah, I think
So
overall it's just an interesting situation. I think like in all of this and kind of all of what's going down, the biggest thing my concern is like leaning towards is Bungie as a company, because like they've been such a historically good developer. So like to see something like this
yeah,
that like like we were watching and like with the September release, we were almost watching a train crash like about to happen, or watching a collision about to happen. It's like, oh, don't release it, don't do it. And so the delay is a good sign. But also it's
yeah,
like the amount of stuff that they didn't weren't planning to push out and all that. It's like I feel like if they released it in September, it would have been like a clear sign of like, oh, like upper executives and stuff just want this to like get out the door and fail kind of thing, just so they can move on. And so I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
The conspiracies really would have came out. I think
I think it would be a Sony push through that would create that issue.
probably yeah,
I don't think it would necessarily be Bungie.
yeah.
I,
I
I I
mean,
think their problem.
yeah, like
Go ahead.
I don't think like development wise, especially from what I've heard and like talking to Joe Ziegler, the community manager, and like meeting with everyone, especially for the alpha playtest, like the general sentiment I think for most people that attended that was like, they really are like, I mean they're really cool like people that really were listening to our feedback, and they wanted the game to succeed. They certainly didn't show any signs of like we want this to fail, but like also the sentiment from a lot of developers was like, there's probably still a lot of work left to be done. So they were kind of,
Yeah,
nervous about the September release. So, I mean, hopefully this kind of gets some kind of, some relief for them, but also it's kind of like, all right, what is the best thing we can do in this indefinite window to try and deliver the best we can at this point with everything going on. So I don't know. Yeah, it's probably the developers. I mean, I think it's really just a number management thing and the planning, and overall just didn't work
yeah.
out. But they have a
You know,
chance to do some sort of rebound from what probably would have been a disaster of a launch. So
honestly, that's facts. There's also other elements that we would not be privy to because we're not in the day-to-day office. You don't know what kind of vital team lead got fed up and moved on, or what vital
yeah.
team lead was just like, I've done the best I could for Destiny and now I want a new challenge. So then they move over to go to like some other publisher or developer and then move into a different career path or create their own studio, because that seems to be more and more the trend. A lot of these studios are losing really, really good talent for people that are like, I'm just gonna go make my own game
Yeah, like
because I can do
I
that now.
I have a sick idea. I'm just gonna go execute it.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to answer
Yeah.
anyone, kind of thing. So
Yeah. I mean, honestly, some of these studios might end up becoming, because it's becoming easier to publish indie games
yeah.
and getting deals. I wonder if some of the cultures behind the games of like developing games, you can, it's almost like a career fair or like a
Mhm. Yeah.
like collaborative effort where these guys can be all considered contractors. They're like, you're really good at your job. I really like your artwork. Your voice lines are really good. Your writing's awesome. Why don't we all like combine together and I take all the stuff that I have with what you guys have and we create our own game,
We're literally
you
the
know?
Avengers. Like it's just
Yeah, yeah, like that's what I mean. It's just like kind of a misfit, but it works perfectly. And
yeah.
I'm sure that happens in most companies, but it's interesting to think. It's like these are really big developers. They've been around for a while. Like Bungie's been around for forever. I don't know how many studio heads they've been running through. From what I understand about Bungie, they're pretty stable. So
Yeah.
is that an issue? People aren't moving up, so they move on?
Yeah.
Who knows? What could
Big part of
possibly
it.
happen? I'm just 100% speculating. I think this is just a really good article about what happened with Marathon, why it was such an issue, and how Bungie's gonna try to address it, and we'll see if they can be accurate to their word. I
Yeah.
think is the best way to leave it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the talent thing too. I mean, with any industry is true, but especially in the games industry, it's like if you find
Mhm.
good talent or you poach good talent, it can really like elevate your game with what was going to be just a good game to like now it's like game of the year contender and like 5 million in sales and so
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's a big thing. I think
Resume
finding that good
builder.
talent, man. So it could be hard.
That's right. Alright, dog. That's all the articles we have.
Yeah. Speaking of dog, looks like your dog
Yeah.
wants some fun. He
Yeah.
wants to have some playtime.
Oh, my boy's tired.
Oh man.
He's so tired. He had camp all day today, and then he hopped off the bed just now, hit the ground, and it was like thud. Like there's no grace. He's not a big dog, but he's over here just like, give me some love, dude. I'm tired, and I just want to be pet. And that's what I'm doing right now. Is a little pet.
He's like, man, you've been working all the time. Let me, you get some, come get some
That's
pets.
a fact, dude. My man's a ride or die. He's more upset about me working than about working. He comes over here and he's like laying next to me while I'm working. And sometimes he'll just sit there and stare at me. He's like, "What are you doing, man? We could be outside right now, bro."
You
That's how I
know,
imagine he talks.
I know.
Like he
Literally.
calls me bro, and I call him dog.
What's up, dog?
What's up, dog? Yeah, he's got his tail up and everything.
Funny.
But I think that's the time. Let me go walk my dog real quick. Go outside, chillax, catch up on some work, and then yeah, let's let the people go, dude. Do you have anything to add before I do the usual closeout? Give everybody the he
Nah,
wants to go
man.
outside.
I will say, like, you actually mentioned at the top of the article about like watching video game content or like engaging in other video game content. I find myself
Yeah.
a lot of the times like just watching videos of video games and stuff like that. Probably more so than playing, which isn't ideal for me. Like it, I think the ideal would be like I should probably be playing more. But like I don't know, man. I've just always been a consumer of that kind of stuff. So it's just like just what I've known, just watching video game content, learning about the history, learning about other people's perspectives on games that I love. I think I've always found interest in that. So I find myself watching a lot of like retrospectives and kind of breakdowns and longer critiques.
Yeah. I do like when you find somebody with a video that's like super, super passionate and they're like, this is my favorite game, and it's a game you don't really know, and they just go into basically like a 30-minute thesis
Yeah,
of why that game is particularly important to them. They have like some type of mental connection with like their life, why gaming mattered to them. Every time they get to a certain level, they think of like their brother. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
those kind of videos I absolutely love. And I'm hoping those are the types of videos you're able to find.
Oh man,
Because
yeah.
I'm addicted to that kind of stuff.
Like there is a playlist that I have found
Oh my man.
recently, dude. It is literally just like it's a playlist on YouTube, entirely dedicated to long form video game analysis, breakdowns, commentaries.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's a
Give
whole
me
playlist of that. There's hours, dude, like hours of this content, and I'm finding like all this stuff. There's some that are like 3, 4, 5 hours, like 6 hours talking about like whole franchise breakdowns. It's insane. So I'll have to send that to you because it is like the perfect
dude.
like second monitor content.
Honestly, send it my way because there are moments where I'm like in design work, kind of similar
Yeah.
to like how you'll be stuck into code work.
Yeah.
When I'm in design world and I'm just like drawing everything out, I can just tune off my brain and I
Yeah,
know what I
dude.
need to do. It's like almost like coloring in the
Telling you,
lines with
bro.
the level of like
That
how
is.
automated I am.
I'm
And
telling
if I
you.
got that in the background, secondary monitor, I'm good.
I don't think there are better days of work I could have that if I'm just sitting there like building something out and like it's one of those things where it's like I don't need full capacity of my brain, so I could just like
Oh yeah.
throw something on, dude. You're just zenning out,
Dude.
dude. Those are actually like peak work days. Not gonna lie, like
Yeah,
it doesn't get
honestly,
better.
my life has been the last like month and a half has been 100% full brain capacity. Sometimes on the weekends. Oh, man, when I get home, I basically just sit down and I'll stare at a wall for a little bit of like not in like existential crisis and I'm depressed, but just like I gotta decompress.
I need no
You know what I
stimulation
mean?
for 20
Yeah,
minutes.
like just like I don't want coworkers walking up to me. I don't want the Teams message to be bubbling all the freaking time. Like I just want to stare at this wall, zone out, and I zone out, and then I'm like, all right, cool. Let's put on some music. Let's eat some food.
Yeah.
Let's chill with the dog.
Right.
Let's watch some vids.
Time for some home life. It's good.
Oh yeah, facts, dude. Yeah, facts. Clean up some stuff. Do some chores.
It's the
But
meme.
speaking of which, man. Yeah.
No, before we go, dude. Speaking of the memes, man, I think about just the meme of like the dad of 3. He gets home from work and he just sits in the car for 5 minutes before going inside.
Oh, that's a dog. That's a different reason.
Oh man. Anyways,
All right.
I am done.
All right, Mr. Cashew is ready to get out of here. That's his name, Mr. Cashew. All right, let's I'll wrap it up real quick. For those of you that stuck around, we absolutely appreciate you. We went kind of a little bit later than our like 1 hour mark, but not too much later. We kind of yapped at the end. We appreciate you guys for checking in. All the links are in the description below, along with timestamps. We have social media links if you want to check those out. Go show the love and support to the original articles, writers. We always try to like shout them up by name, call out their publisher, like where they write from, and other editors, whatever. We appreciate it. The articles are awesome. Go show love. Without any further ado, Kyle, you don't have anything to add, so I'll let the people go. We appreciate your time. I'm Michael Anthony. This is Kyle Heath. We'll see you in next week's episode. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Kyle, next week's episode we can actually talk about July video game releases, new games.
Oh, we start prepping them. Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. July has like slow release dates anyway. It always does in July.
It's July.
Anyways, I'm done yapping. See you guys later. Have a good one. And take it easy. Keep gaming.
Hey, everyone.
Bye-bye.